Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin and just want to start off this video by saying a huge thank you to everybody that has come over from TikTok and everybody who has subscribed to the channel through YouTube here. It means the absolute world to me and it's unbelievable to say this, but we are pushing for 1,000 subscribers, which is unbelievable. Yesterday we hit 330, which was incredible to me, and we've gone up over 600 subs in one day, which is just mind-blowing. It really is. But I just wanted to hop on before we start this video and say a huge thank you. Welcome to the channel to you all, and hopefully you enjoy the content. Let me know anything you would like to see from me down in the comments below, and let's get started with today's video. So today we're going to be talking about the best ways that you can instantly improve your gameplay in League Player on Cold War. I'm going to start off with some more general tips, some easier tips that a lot of advanced players may already know, and then we're going to move on to some way more advanced tips that you can start working towards if you're a newer player, and those advanced players can start tuning into these tips in order to get higher ranked, such as those elite and master rankings, which is going to be really good. I'm also going to talk to you a bit about score per minute and how that affects your ranking system, as well as your KD and your win-loss ratio, and how you can get ranked up quicker in League Play, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video for that one. So let's jump into it. First tip is to use your minimap. Now this sounds obvious, but there's several ways you can use it. The most important one is going to be the red dots from the enemies. All weapons are unsilenced in League Play, which means that every time an enemy shoots, you can see them on the minimap, obviously if they're within a certain range around you. If they're not, the red dot will just be on the edge of the screen, so it gives you a rough indicator as which direction the enemy is in. But to be honest, all of the modes in League Play are objective based, so it's probably likely that the enemies are going to be somewhere nearby to you, and this is going to be a great indicator. One really important thing to note about these red dots is that when there is an arrow above this, it means the enemy is a floor or two above you, and when there is an arrow below, it means they are a floor or two below you. Now this is really important because it means you can see when people are above you in windows, on the bridge on Garrison for example, or when people are in places such as the underpass where they could be underneath you and they're about to pop up and get those kills. Now it's really good because it means that you can deter people from flanking by pre-aiming these positions, and it also means that when you are capping an objective, you do have a really good idea of where those enemies could be pushing from, even if your team are not communicating directly with microphones, which obviously is preferable, but if they're not, this is going to be a great tip that can help you get a lot more kills in League Play and obviously die a lot less, so get your KD right up. Another major thing that I see a lot of players making the mistake of in League Play is playing to the advantages of your guns. So yes, the SMGs in this game are nutty. The LC-10 and the AK-74, you can clearly get mid to long range kills, and where you can get these kills, you really should be going for them because you can get them, so you might as well. However, what you should be doing is putting yourself in a situation where your gun is going to excel, i.e. making sure that the fight is at close range and close quarters. You're going to be pushing objectives, so when you do push those objectives, particularly on hardpoint, make sure you're holding a close angle where if the enemy challenges you, they've got to get up close and personal, and if you're challenging the enemy, you can pop out, shoot at them, and then pop back in to avoid getting hit. Now this is really crucial for maps like Raid, where there's a lot of open angles, and if people whip out that Krig 6 or that M4, they can get some nice picks on a lot of the hills. Try and avoid that by hiding behind the obstacles and wait for them to push you, and that's going to get your team a lot more time on the hill and keep your KD up, which is really important for ranking up. When you're playing this Slayer role in League Play, one really important thing to remember is that when you are getting the kills and your team has a good spawn for the current hardpoint, do not push too far into the enemy spawn to get those kills. Let them come to you, because basically all you will do is flip the spawns around, and that will make sure that your team, one, gets flanked and pushed off the hill, and then you've got to run back to the hill as a team, which is going to cause you time and points lost. But also, when you have the enemies in a certain spawn area, they're going to be running to that objective more likely than not, which is going to mean that you can get a ton of kills very easily instead of flipping them out and not knowing where they have actually gone to. So always be aware of your map and your surroundings and where the enemies are. Minimap again is going to be your best friend for that, and just keep an eye on those spawns and make sure you're manipulating them to your advantage rather than pushing them out too far. Now the next tip sounds obvious, it's going to be on kill streaks, but what I mean by this is actually the score streaks in this game, making sure that you get those score streaks. One, this gives you a huge boost in points. Whenever you get 5 or more kills in a kill streak, you're starting to get up really high points per kill, so 150, then 250, then 350 per kill, which is absolutely amazing, and it's one of the fastest and best methods for getting your score per minute up, which is what will get you to rank up quickly in League Play, so that is going to be crucially important, as well as obviously improving your KD, but it will help you get that win, which improves your win-loss, so in turn it's a fast way to rank up. But the reason for doing this, obviously, again, is to get the enemies off the objective. If you do manage to go down, or your team all goes down and they're really close to winning, or they're going to capture an objective point in control, you can can actually streak them off these hills, which is going to be crucially important to win you guys the game, and your team is going to be very thankful for it. So in tandem with this one then is to save your streaks once you do earn them, your score streaks, and use them at an appropriate time. A lot of people I see just using the streaks as soon as they've got them in the hope that they get some more, but what you should instead do is wait until you're on another kill streak. If you're 1 or 2 kills off, then use them if you're confident you can get the remaining kills. But if not, keep these streaks until it's a crucial time for your team, and this is going to be way more beneficial to you than just throwing the streaks away. Now this one's for people who have a lot more experience in Call of Duty and in Cold War specifically, and this is about being a flexible league play player. By this I mean filling the roles that the teammates aren't playing, particularly if you're playing solo or duo. It's about filling in those gaps, so playing the objective or playing Slayer or playing main AR, depending on what your teammates are not doing well. If your team is constantly getting flipped out of spawns and you're losing the hill a lot of the time, maybe you want to play that main AR role so that you can sit back, guarantee the spawns so that your team can go on and contest those points, as well as being able to hit up the spawn points for the rotations, which is going to make your team be at the next hill when they do eventually die, or rotate with you, which is going to be really good. A lot of players find this difficult to do because most people either like playing SMG, or they like playing sniper, or they like playing AR. Once you get better at the game and you can use multiple different weapons, this is going to be a crucial thing to do. And even if you're playing with a full team, sometimes it is really good to switch up the roles and just try different things just to get yourselves warmed up, get yourselves in the mindset for a game, and just make sure that you are getting on top of all of those different areas. Now this next tip is absolutely vital for any player in any game, and it is communication. If you've got a mic, use it in a game. It's going to be vitally important to communicate with your teammates, and it is going to win you games. If you're calling out where the enemies are, where the next rotation is, if you've seen somebody cut through the map, if you've seen where they're spawning, anything like that, it is going to be vitally important to call these things out for your team, and obviously for your team to call it out to you as well. Now if anybody does want to know the callouts for any of the maps on Cold War, I have made a guide, or ton of guides on my channel, so go ahead and check them out if you want to, and leave a request in the comments if there's any maps you would like me to cover next with those guides, because they are super useful for learning the basics of what each call are. And obviously they do vary from team to team, but generally speaking, what the casters, what the commentators, and what the pros use is what I've covered in those videos. So that is one of the crucial things that you're going to really need to do once you get up to those high levels of elite and masters, is make sure you are calling out and giving calls, and obviously listening to calls as well. When you become experienced at Cold War, one of the things you can do whilst playing the Slayer role is actually to roam the map. So when you've got a confident team who can hold the objective, someone's holding the spawns, and you've got a support player flexing between the spawn and objective areas, picking up those kills there, what you can actually do is go to the other side of the map and completely cut off any rotations that the enemy team chooses to do, so that whether this is for spawn rotations or for the next hard point. Now this is obviously off map knowledge, so if you know where the next hard point is going to be, you can position yourself somewhere where you can pick those enemies off as they're running to it, because again you can catch them off guard, and this is going to be vitally important and really put your team at a strong advantage, because you're going to be picking enemies off, reducing their lives if it's control, but if it's hard point you're going to be really throwing them off circuit and forcing them to spawn in a much less advantageous place than perhaps what they would have been doing if someone hadn't been in that position. And the same goes for objective. Once you get into a high level, you can probably hold that hill on your own. You're going to need to know where the enemies are coming from, paying good attention to the minimap at all times. Knowing some good spots for trophy systems is going to be vital for this as well, and also spots where you can only get shot through one object maybe, or in front of yourself, so basically non-wall bangable objects where you can stand next to, so that you can keep yourself covered from all sides if your team do happen to go down around you. And it's about getting those kills whilst you're on the objective as well to increase your SPM too, because sometimes objective players unfortunately don't get as much score as the Slayer, which is unfortunate, but once you learn a few methods of how you can get kills from each objective by holding a certain angle, this is really going to boost your score. And finally, for all players, again, if you are struggling on any particular map, or you're struggling on certain game modes, the best thing you can do is do some research. So watch some YouTube videos, watch some pro matches or scrims, and look at how those players and commentators and content creators are actually explaining how to do stuff, or how they're doing it. Watch how the gameplay works, because you will get better by doing this. This is what I used to do back in the day in Black Ops 2, when I would watch competitive matches nearly every single day in order to try and improve the best I could at Call of Duty, and it really did help. So it's a huge recommendation. A lot of people think it might not be that interesting to watch, but if you are interested in league play and the competitive scene, it is a ton of fun to watch, especially when you get on board with a certain team. If you're supporting one, or you're liking following what they're doing on their journey, it's really cool, and it makes you learn an absolute ton about the game, so it's definitely worth doing. And finally, for any advanced players out there, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you are thinking ahead of the enemy. In other words, what is the enemy going to do next, and how can you counter it before they've done it? So if it's a hard point and they're going to rotate, you can get that Slayer position. Like I said, make sure you're catching them off the rotation and getting some easy kills and pushing them back away from the objective. If you get in that main AR position, it's rotating at a good enough point where you can hold down enough of the map so that your team don't get flanked on the current objective, but you're also going to guarantee those spawns for the next objective, which is crucially important for your team. And obviously if you're on that objective player there as well, it's holding down that time, but talking to your support player, see if they're happy to keep the scrap time from the previous hill, rotate to the next one, or if you're going to split push a different objective in control in order to force the enemies to split up as well, because they're holding one site particularly well. This is something which is going to really win you games and get some clutch gameplay coming in for your team. Now, as I mentioned throughout the video, SPM is one which is score per minute, and that's one way to increase your rank in league play, as well as KD and win-loss going up. The higher the KD, the higher the win-loss. That is another really fast way to get a rank up in league play. So in other words, if you want to rank up the fastest in league play, what you need to be doing is winning games with a high KD and obviously getting as much score as you can. And as I mentioned in the video, the best way to do this is by going on a score streak or a kill streak. Once you get past 5 kills, you are getting a ton of points per kill, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic to boost you up those ranks, as well as obviously trying to win as many games as you can. But SPM seems to be the most overriding factor in it, so try and get this up as much as you can, and let me know how you get on down in the comments below. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, make sure you drop a like down below, as it really does help me and the video out. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you here. We're posting daily COD content, so it'd be fantastic to have more members of the team. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care and peace.